Welcome to UPSC Vinoth. So today we are going to see one of the important topic in the economy. It is India becomes fourth largest economy. India becomes fourth largest economy in the world. So world's fourth largest economy. So according to what value India is becoming fourth largest economy in the world means it is based on GDP, gross domestic production. So Indian economy has achieved a significant milestone. Yes, we achieved a significant milestone by becoming fourth largest economy, by surpassing Japan. By surpassing Japan. See, we just surpassed the Japan, and the government projects we will surpass the Germany and become third largest by 2030. By 2030. So already we surpassed Japan and we are presently now fourth largest. So Germany holds the third largest economy with respect to GDP. But with by 2030 we will the government projects that by 2030 India will surpass the Germany also. So presently, India has fourth largest economy with 4.18 trillion dollars GDP. So 4.18 trillion dollars GDP. Okay. So now what is GDP? So it is one of the basic thing. You know that GDP is gross domestic production. So what is meant by gross domestic production? So this is the total monetary value of all goods and services. Total monetary value of all goods and services, that is within the country, within the border of the country, the total monetary value of goods and services that is produced within the country's border, it is termed as GDP. See, however, GDP does not reflect the quality of life. It just says the turnover. It we can say simply that turnover. Higher GDP does not reflect the higher quality of life, but it also does not includes the conditions like health. It does not include the conditions. See, the present GDP calculation system is not so effective. It does not reflect the quality of life. Even higher GDP does not means higher quality of life, and also it does not reflect the quality of life along with the health. It does not include health indicator, education indicator, and 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 environmental sustainability indicators. These are all indicators which has been neglected while calculating the GDP. So there are two types of GDP. So that is nominal GDP and real GDP. See, it's very simple. So if nominal GDP is a thing, it is measured the total monetary value of goods and services produced in the economy at current market price without adding the inflation. That is nominal. So with by adding the inflation, that is by if you are calculating, if you are measuring the total value of goods and services by adjusting the inflation, it is known as real GDP. Without adding the inflation, it is nominal GDP. With adding the inflation, it is adjusting inflation, it is real GDP. Okay. So in India, quarterly GDP estimation has been compiled by NSSO. See, one of the important point. One second. So in India, presently in India, quarterly GDP estimation has been compiled by NSSO, National Statistical Office, under MOSP, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now we shall have a small revision. So what is GDP? GDP is total monetary value of goods and services. GDP is total monetary value of goods and services produced within the country's border. So GDP does not reflect quality of life. So it always adjusted. Sorry, it always goes with the economical value only. It does not calculate environmental sustainability, education level, quality of life. Now, what is there is a two types of GDP. That is nominal GDP, real GDP. Nominal GDP measures total monetary value of goods and services produced in the economy at current market prices. At current market prices, no inflation is been adjusted. But real GDP is inflation adjusted GDP. So GDP has been the quarterly estimate of GDP has been compiled by National Statistical Office, under MOSP, National Statistical Office under MOSP. So MOSPA. So now GDP calculation. So we calculate the GDP based on two methods. One is income method, one is expenditure method. So it is the total income earned by the factor of production. It is total income earned by the factor of production. That is so that is total income earned by the factor of production within the country. That is income method. GDP on income method is GDP on income method will always calculated at GDP at factor cost plus taxes minus subsidies. So this is one of the UPSC PYQ. GDP at income method. GDP at income method is calculated based on GDP at factor cost plus taxes minus subsidies. So next, what is meant by expenditure method? This is totally how the country is spending. It is calculated based on spending of the country, expenditure of the country. So it contains consumers expenditure plus investment plus government expenditure government expenditure plus import minus export, so plus import minus export. So this is expenditure method calculation. So and also there are product output method and product input method. So first, product output method is, so it is calculated GDP measures total value added in the all sector. So it is value added. So it is calculated. Product output method is production method, or output method is calculated GDP by measuring total value added by the all sectors. Total value added by the all sectors. All sectors. So all sectors. So okay. So next, per capita income. Per capita income is calculated by what? Now we are coming to the one of the most important factor. So the question may be the question here. Here we can expect a question. What is per capita income? See, what is per capita income? It's very easy. What is per capita income? Total population divided per capita income is, so total gdp is divided by total population. So it is per capita income. So now per capita. Now India is second largest economy. India may be the second largest economy by 2018. By 2000, India may be the second largest economy by 2038 on the basis of PPP. What is meant by PPP? Purchasing power parity. So it is based on the purchasing power parity. So India will reach the second position on GDP in PPP terms. At present, so India may become second largest economy. So purchasing power parity. What is purchasing power parity? So here we can discuss what is meant by purchasing power parity. So these all things which we can expect the question. What is meant by purchasing power parity and market exchange rate, convertibility, all these things. So purchasing power parity is an economic concept. So that compares the currency with different countries. Indian currency, comparing the Indian currency with dollars. So how many products you can, how many apples you can buy with the help of 1 rupee, and how many apples you can buy with the help of $1. So now comparing this scenario this is purchasing power parity. Okay. So now the National Statistic Office released the first advanced estimate of India's GDP. So it shows that very India is growing. At present, India slows down its growth. Okay. So in case of southern state, the chief economic advisor. So the chief economic advisor has stated that, so southern states performing more well, that contributes 30% of India's GDP. Southern states itself contributing 30% of India's GDP, that to 6.3% of growth. So rest of the India is growing at 5%, but southern states is growing 6.3%. So it marks the significant development towards south. So southern states have higher labor force participation. See, southern states have higher labor force participation. So 37% of operational factories are belongs to southern states. 25% of fixed capital, 33% of manufacturing workforce, but 26% of output. So here the labor, but even though these are great, but the manufacturing output is 26%. It is little bit less when compared to participation of labor force. And here why this happens, because of middle income trap. What is middle income trap? So the Indian National Congress has released a document called real states of economy, real states of economy. So based on this claiming that Indian economy slows down and risk of falling into middle income trap. So we are in the verge of falling into middle income trap. So what is this middle income trap all talks about? It is referring to the situation where the middle class income status fails to transit transit is positioned towards high income economy. So we will trap inside the middle income economy itself. Generally we should always move on and develop low income economy to middle income to high income. But literally we caught up with middle income trap. So this is one of the most important report which is released by Indian National Congress in Union Budget 2024. So now let us have some of PYQ's discussion and model MCQ discussion with above topic. Purchasing power parity, say exchange rate, are calculated by comparing the price of same basket of goods and services in different countries. Yes. So 1 kg of apple in India how much? In USA how much? So in terms of PPP dollars, India's is sixth largest. See this number, always facts are wrong. Always facts are wrong. So see, statement 2 was incorrect. So in terms of PPP, India's third largest. Third largest. In nominal GDP, India has been fourth largest. On multidimensional poverty index, see this itself one question. The multidimensional poverty index, this is 2012 PYQ. Multidimensional poverty index is developed by Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative with UNDP. So multi-dimensional poverty index is developed by Oxford Poverty Development Initiative of UNDP. Okay, let us discuss the question. Deprived education. So which of the following covers? See, under the multidimensional poverty index, which all of the things are covered? So this is very much important. See, this is very much important. So here let us have some discussion. See, okay, see, deprived education, health, deprivation of, we calculate deprivation of education, health, asset and service at a household level, and purchasing power parity at national level. So again they are saying that extent of budget deficit and GDP growth at rate of national level. Okay, so how many of the are used to calculate what? Calculate this UNDP, multidimensional poverty index. Okay, so this is, so we always have a calculation over deprivation of education, health, asset and service at household level. So remaining two are not there, so one only correct. Again, UPSC Prelims 2025. A decrease in tax to GDP ratio. So there is a decrease in tax to GDP. That means people are paying less tax with compared to GDP. So in the country, which leads to which of the following? So slowing down the economy, less equitable distribution of national income. No, it is only slowing down the economy. Now, UPSC prelims question: a Gini coefficient is used to measure which of the following economy? So it is in income inequality. It talks about income inequality. Okay. So some of the other questions with respect to this GDP calculation. India has officially become world fourth largest economy by surpassing Germany's in nominal GDP terms. See, we didn't surpass Germany, we surpassed Japan. So statement 1 is wrong. The Indian government projects the economy to reach valuation of 30 trillion within next 30 trillion within next 2025 to 20 to 25. See, they are saying that 30 trillion. Statement 2 is correct. Statement 2 is correct. Statement 1 is incorrect. Yes, Indian government projects the economy to reach the valuation of 30 trillion within 20 to 25 years. The Indian quarterly GDP estimates are compiled and released by NSO, yes, National Statistic Office, but it comes under what? Ministry of MOSP. Then it is wrong. Only 2 is correct. So now the consider the following statement regarding method of GDP calculation mentioned in text. So the expenditure method accounts for net exports. See the expenditure. This is a classical question. So they will ask this type of question. This type of question. This is that the expenditure method. The expenditure method is statement one is incorrect. The incorrect because the expenditure method accounts for does not accounts for net exports. So they are calculating that C plus I plus G it's x minus m net exports by adding total value of import. See net exports means they then this won't come. So this is wrong. So again, statement 2. The income method of GDP calculated by summing the wages, rent and profit earned by the factor of production. Yes. So it is summing of wages plus rent plus interest plus profit. So to calculate GDP via production method, taxes are added and subsidies are subtracted from the real GDP. See here, and also subsidies are separated. So statement 3 is wrong. So here we get only option 2 is correct. Here this is option 2. Only 2 is correct. With respect to purchasing power parity. See, with respect to purchasing power parity. Okay. What is this? So PPP compares currency by measuring the amount of required to buy a common basket of goods and services in different countries. Yes. See, 1 kg of apple is a common good in the basket. So how much rupees you are spending to buy this 1 kg of apple? How much dollars you are spending to buy this 1 kg of apple? Comparing this to is purchasing power parity. So statement 1 is correct. So again, market exchange rate are generally considered as more accurate than PPP. See, market exchange rate does not we can't say that more accurate when compared to PPP. So PPP seems to be more accurate when compared to market exchange rate. So 2 is wrong. When you remove 2, 1 and 3 is correct. Projections suggest India could become world's second largest PPP by in the terms of 2038. Generally in UPSC like this statements will be wrong, but here it is correct. Yes, it is 2038. The text highlights the several limitations using GDP as a sole indicator of national progress. So, for following recognized as a better indicator of development. Of factors GDP fails to reflect. So, what are all the lacunas of GDP? They are asking what are all the lacunas of GDP. Yes, we already said that there is always some limitations with respect to calculation of GDP. Based on GDP, the country's economic wealth can't be calculated because it has some lacunas. So, what are all the factors it is missing? Yes, it is missing income distribution and Gini coefficient. GDP does not talks about income or wealth distribution. It just talks about total income earned. So statement 1 is correct. So next, environmental sustainability. Yes, it does not consider about environmental degradation. So human developmental index. Yes, it does not talks about human development index. The total monetary value of all final goods produced within the border. This is ultimately goods and services within the border. This is GDP calculation. So 4 is wrong. So 4 is wrong. 1, 2, and 3 is correct. Regarding the performance of southern states. So this question you can't expect such questions, but according to the content which we discussed, we can start here. The southern states collectively contribute more than 30%. Yes, they are collectively contributing more than 30% is India's total GDP. The per capita GDP growth of southern region significantly lower than. See, the per capita GDP of growth of South India is significantly lower. No, it is not significantly lower. It is significantly higher. So when you remove 2, 1 and 3, the chief economic advisor suggests that southern state would be benchmark that therefore performing against a national average. Yes, we are performing against a national average. Okay. Okay. Yes. So we had a comprehensive discussion with respect to this article. So we will come up with another article in next video. Thank you.